What's up, everyone, and welcome down to another episode of Zetro's Toxic Vault. And you know what's great is being a musician is I get so many cool musicians coming through. And it's not just all Bay Area guys, especially as you've noticed, we've tried to kind of go outside of the box of Bay Area guys. And actually, I got one from, has nothing to do with Bay Area thrash, finally. But it definitely has an amazing track record as a drummer, playing with the Black Star Riders now, and so much more that we will talk about. Mr. Chad Szeliga, welcome.
Thank you for Zetro's
having me. Good to have you in, man.
Thank you.
How's everything going?
It's great, man. It's good to be in the Bay, man.
It's good to be in the Bay, isn't it?
Out of Pennsylvania. And
yeah, it doesn't snow here. It's great. That's the thing about it.
It's not too hot.
I don't know if I could ever live kind of back east because I'm just not a snow guy. In fact, my kids to this day fucking piss and moan that you never took us to the snow. It's like, you know what? I'll take you to the beach. I won't take you to the. Don't like to be cold.
I have a lot of friends that when I call them and I go, "What's going on?" "Oh, I'm at the beach. You?" "I'm shoveling."
Shoveling, or no? When who was that? We were on tour with Slayer, and one of their crew guys lives in Cleveland, and he was bragging about his new snow plow thing and was like, I don't know, 5 horsepower, 8 horsepower, and I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck that is. And he was all happy because he just got a new snow blower thing. I guess it.
Yeah, that's what I'm originally from Cleveland, so I'm very familiar with the snow blower. It's the holy grail for us for the winter.
Holy shit. It's just driving and getting out and walking into shit and slipping and just the whole wet.
If it's going to be cold, here's my philosophy on cold over there on the East Coast. If it's cold, it should snow. I don't like the slush, that sleet, that nasty stuff that it's just, it's a mess. Or black ice, which gets really dangerous. But snow, I'm fine with. It's cool. But
we don't get that here in where we did.
And if you did, it would probably be like
Zetro's Toxic Vault. And there's no slush, there's no slice. Our cars don't have the undersides of them corroding from all the salt that you have to put on the roads.
Very true.
So, a lot of people don't see that, but me, I've been very fortunate enough to cruise the country many, many times, and I was like, at first I was like, hey, how come those all like? I didn't even think about it. And somebody says, well, they put salt.
Roads are destroyed.
Roads are destroyed,
completely destroyed from the corrosion.
That's our touch on the world's weather views.
Weather channel,
Pennsylvania to. We're going to change the channel when we get back to music. Let's talk about you, man. You have such a great track record. I mean, the bands you have played with are all stellar. I mean, the band you're with now is if you ask anybody, especially us old school fucking guys, Black Star Riders is basically Thin Lizzy. Well, because it's Scott Gorham, which is the final member, and then obviously Ricky Warwick, and he's from I remember him from the '80s, from the Almighty.
Yeah,
very and I keeping that Irish kind of tenure strong in the band, but you have a lot of other history, and I know what about your first band, but talk about growing up. We were talking before the cameras went on, and you were saying that you, 2 years old, you started playing the drums.
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
Yeah. I wouldn't say I was a prodigy on the kid, but I did start at 2 years old. My father was in the Cream and all that, and he would play music, and he still to this day they play music all the time in the house.
So then that's how you got it as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people have, a lot of guests I've had in the past, I always ask that question, and a lot of them say, what they were listening to the 60s sound at that. Well, for me it was the 60s sounds. Guys my age, my dad was a biker, so he listened to Allman Brothers and Zeppelin and Sabbath, so that was normal for me to listen to that stuff. Was your dad a musician or your mom a musician by any?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. So my whole family, like my grandfather, he played with Tommy Dorsey.
Wow.
Playing trombone.
How neat.
So I grew up, believe it or not, all the rock bands that I've been in, I'm not a rock drummer. I'm a jazz funk guy. But if it's good, it's good, right?
Sure. If it's got groove, right?
That's the way I look at it. So grabbing the big band from my grandfather, and then my mom was classically trained. She was a flautist, and you have to say flautist, obviously. Flautist, and she was going to play for the Cleveland Orchestra, but she had me. So she got into more of the music teaching.
So you fucked it all up.
I destroyed it. Completely wrecked that dream. Bye, Mom.
Wow. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, sorry, Mom. And then my father was just kind of a hobbyist of just playing drums. Never took it serious, never like studied rudiments or anything like what drummers do. But he had this passion of just watching him drum at early ages, of watching him jam to Cream songs. And I remember him very, 2-3 years old, teaching me Indigada Vita's drum solo. And at that age, you don't know what he's doing, but you're hearing this thunderous stuff.
How many instruments could he play?
Just drums.
Oh, he could just play drums.
Drums. My grandfather played trombone, and my mom played flute. And now she plays everything, basically. But
amazing. Mm-hmm. And so, was he more of a teacher to you, or just kind of a directioner, going, hey, it's really cool, son, because I play this, and I want you to play this, and you picked it up, like, wow, at 2 years old, I'm like, by 4, I'm, playing, I'm, on
you're
there.
Playing a beat, at least.
You're playing a beat, exactly, and it's something that you're thinking, all the other kids in school are, playing with their little video things, and you're going home to play drums. Is that how it was, or was it?
It was, so long ago. I remember my father buying me a kit. My dad was not a teacher, but my dad was a role model for me of just something about those drums sounded cool, and the way he played he kind of had his own style, like a Ginger Baker. I knew it was my dad when I heard him. I could hear all drummers when I got older. But Ginger Baker was his guy, and my dad was just the guy that just put on music, jam it, kind of thing, and that's where we shared that bond. But never was in a cover band. He would play on his steering wheel all the time, driving when we go on vacation or something.
So he never actually sat and played in a like Tuesday night jam night with anybody.
I don't think he's ever played with anybody, like even like you and I jamming with friends at school.
Really?
Yeah, he said at college he would play like all the classic great rock bands, and he would just put on his turntable or 8-track or whatever it was at that time and just air drum or play on like a pizza box, but never took it serious. He became a chemist.
So what's his take on it, that he's instilled this into his son, and his son has taken it to, I don't care if you've played with who you've played with and done the things you've done, you doom, score, boom, in the business, on the phone. If I hit you on Wikipedia, your name's there, you know what I mean? Yeah. Done deal, so what's his reaction to that?
I think that they would have been proud of me of anything I've done. They never forced drums on me, like
but
go in there.
This is a hard thing to do, Chad, to become a musician that tours, that tries to keep it financially together, believe me, and be able to make a living of it and keep rolling, and go from one act and maybe to another act and then to another act, you know what I mean? There's a lot of that happens, and still come out smelling like a fucking rose. I think that there's a lot more to it than just going to like a university and getting a fucking degree, man. I think there's just as much work into it.
Our job is harder.
I agree.
Because, you're an icon, whether you believe it or not, because you're still doing it.
Fortunate to be doing it. Thank you, fans.
And
we love you for it.
We know you're 21 years old, but you've been doing it for a while, and you've seen everything known to man.
I think so.
And I would say more life experiences than book smart you would be.
Oh, definitely.
And to me, that's the most important trait to have as a musician and a human being, to move around through society.
Yeah, book smart doesn't make you sense smart. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
So you may not, but I feel that as well. Just with my upbringing, the way I was brought up and stuff. But now when did you have a drum set? When did you at 2 years old or
3 or 4?
3 or 4 you had a drum set?
And I remember my dad got it from our neighbor across the street, and I was super excited to finally play something. And he starts playing Indigada Vita, and he's like, and destroyed the heads, and I didn't even get to play it. So I'm crying. I'm like, Dad, I want to play my kid. And he was like, oh, sorry. And he didn't know.
Were the actual real heads, or was it
one
of those toys?
Dude, believe it or not, it kind of went full circle with me, because at a time I signed with DW, but it was called a Camco kit. And Camco was DW back in the day before it was called DW. DW bought the rights later on. But it had those sucker lugs, no bottom heads. Actually, when kits really were kits. Before all the Tinker toys and stuff on it. This was an actual beat-up looking kit, but it sounded authentic and that vintage sound. And my dad put the holes in it, and I was like, now what am I going to do? This was my first kit. And then we bought some heads later down the road. But I think what really made me the drummer I am today was I was very fortunate and blessed to have great parents that would provide anything that I needed. If I needed a kit, they would buy it. But they were the kind of parents that let me see what you're going to do before I put the money down. So I would play on pillows. I'd play on, on my knees. I'd play on pots and pans. And I think back in the day, I'm a little bit younger, but back in the day, there was not social media. There wasn't YouTube.
Of course.
There was nothing. And to me, I think in my era, in your era, I think music was more true, was more real to the lyrics, to the musicians itself. I mean, when I had to learn, I had to watch VHS tapes, and to just learn like positions of drummers, I had to hit pause and play. Now you can slow the frame rate down, and it's like goo, goo. It's all spelled out. We had to work for it, and I think music today it's easier, and life is easier. Where we were like, what are we gonna do? My girlfriend's parents think I'm a homeless guy because I want to be in a rock band.
Right.
And same probably for you, but it's like, but no, you have a goal. You're trying to achieve that goal. You're marketing yourself. You're trying to be better at your craft.
Of course.
You study, you listen to bands, you write lyrics, you become a poet. So really, how are you homeless?
Yeah.
You're doing college.
Right.
But it's not college.
Right.
You're drinking,
You're actually thinking outside of the box. And that's the way I explain it. If you're not going to a trade or college for a degree to do engineering or whatever, becoming an EMT, becoming a fire cop,
absolutely,
whatever, it's thinking outside the box. Actors don't all of a sudden become actors. They had to start somewhere. Absolutely. Playing at the playhouse in their town or whatever and doing 10 plays a year and then getting one. I mean, it's the same thing with a musician, you know what I mean? So we're constantly, I call it, and I always applaud people who are thinking outside the box because
always,
all of the people that don't, you wouldn't have anything to entertain you if those of us didn't go and nobody gets paid out of the game. There's nobody that came up to you and said, Chad, I say we make him a rock star. Yeah, we're gonna make you a rock star, and you're gonna play the drums, and basically, we're gonna get you some bands. They're gonna know of your bands and stuff. You're gonna, you're gonna work at it, but that's where we're gonna. What do you think, guys? Everybody, yeah, okay, Chad. Boom. There's nothing. It's luck of the draw. It's talent. It's timing. It's a bunch of different things that go along with it.
It's a lot of different equations.
It's so many.
A lot of different. I mean, I'm sure
mentality. It's everything.
I've been doing it for 25 years professionally, and super blessed for that. But I think you've heard this story. How do you get signed? And I go, well, if you know, let me know, because I don't know.
But even signed doesn't guarantee shit.
No, they think we drive Porsches.
It's like, oh, you're signed?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, so the minute you sign, oh yeah, your bank account, it goes to 7 digits right away. Nobody knows where the money comes from. But it's in the deal. Oh my God. Yeah, right?
We buy Ferraris right when we sign the dotted line. They don't understand that
anything that the label gives you, you pay back, people.
It's a bank. It's a loan with a Virgin Records.
If your record costs this much to make, and the tour is going to cost this much, and the posters to sell that tour and the ads in the magazine cost this much, you pay for that, people. You do. And so it's like,
I agree.
Your $80,000 video that you shoot with in the end, that comes off of your record sales, you pay for it. The label doesn't go, love these guys, let's just give them all this and give them you. They're in business.
Or your record starts doing really well, and you're the coolest thing since sliced bread, but then they go, what do you need? We want to take you out to dinner, and all that stuff's gravy. But when you start writing a song that doesn't do well, you're a has-been.
Oh, believe me. I explained that a certain way, which we'll do an episode about one
Sure.
time because I was explaining it to Chad. We won't get into it right now, but it's kind of a progression that I've seen, and I've seen all three. And so, okay, so let's fold forward. Your first performance, where was it? As a drummer, what time the first... Come on, you had to play some 5th grade fucking...
Oh, I did some dumb
but
stuff.
one that you remember, that you can remember, first time on stage, first band, first time you performed in front of people, basically, is what I'm looking for.
I want to say the first time I ever performed was I was studying with a guy named Bob Brimmer, drum teacher of mine, at a music shop. He kind of introduced me to a guy named Sean May, and we put this little band together. I think we were like 15 or 16, and we played this thing called the Potato Fest. And
where is this at? And what year?
This is in Amherst, Ohio, which is like
okay.
20 minutes from Cleveland.
Okay.
And just out,
so we're
out
talking
the
about
outskirts.
1992, 93?
No, we're talking like 80s and like
80s.
80. I was born in 76, so like 85, 86, 87 ish.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Because I graduated in 96. So it was a potato festival, and our band was called Final Renaissance. And we've all have that band where you're like, oh, God, I hope that never surfaces.
Me and Phil Demo, Phil,
Yeah,
played
Phil's
in our
sweetheart.
first band together. And we have that name as well. Metal Warrior.
Yeah.
It's
like mom names. Like your mom, what do you think the band should be called? Steel Web. All right, I won't ask you ever again to come up with a band name, But really, if you think about it, a name for your band is like a tattoo. And you hope you get cool tattoos because you're going to explain it down the road later going, well, I was drunk and I was at a party and someone just started. It's like the band name kind of does that. It's like it lives with you for the rest of your life.
Well, not necessarily. Not if you can get rid of that band name. I've been fortunate
I don't know how you
to
get
be
rid of
labeled
it.
with the one I'm labeled with. I'm quite fortunate with. I mean, if you looked at it that way. But some people may not be so. Oh no, don't, no, not with that band. No, I was with. You know what I mean?
I'm kind of that guy. I'm like,
well, we're going to talk about those bands. We're going to get into that. So. Talk about your performance. Who was it in front of?
So it was just, in front of, it was like kind of like the festival, like a fair kind of thing. And people just walking by. But I was a huge
Nobody
Rush
stopped
fan.
to stop to hang and to watch.
They did. They would kind of do their thing. I think when you see a kid play, you're mesmerized.
I think so too.
And I try not to do that now and go, he's really good at 17. I want to say, he's all right. He has a lot more growth. But when you see those ages and what they can do at that age, you're like, wow, he's really good. And I think that's kind of what the crowd was like. Wow, these kids are actually, they're playing YYZ. They're pretty good. And it was just cover stuff. And I think we tried to write some horrible, horrible arrangements of originals. But that was my
always
first.
Horrible. And
they always are.
If they're not horrible, then who do you think you are? You know what I mean? They better be horrible.
Yeah. But I mean, to me, it's like, it's art, right? It's whatever you create from nothing, which I've always been fascinated by. Like, you just sit there with your band guys and go, okay, who's going to start it? And then before you know it, you have this song, this song that can help people with their lives. And then you write in the right lyrics. I mean, you have a really important responsibility because...
Well, believe me, I've heard that over the last 35 years. There's many times where fans have said, Zetro, there was a guy, a good friend of mine committed suicide. And he left
I'm sorry to hear about that.
Suicide note. This is in 90. And I wrote a song about it on Force of Habit. It was called Good Day to Die. And a lot of people were like, wow, man, that song is really deep. And it really helped me through a time. Or then I'll hear, wow, Toxic Waltz. Dude, it was when I was rowdy and I was 15 and I needed to get crazy. And man, that song, I'd turn that on. My mother would tell me to turn it down and I'd turn it up. So I know what you're talking about when it comes to that, to that feeling of fans, because I'm a fan and you're a fan.
And you can't pay for that. You could pay. It's something that you can't tell a fan to like your music. They're going to be honest. Like our bro Eric, was always honest with the bands I played with. And I value that because they're the ones that are going to be paying my paycheck. And when you hear those suicide stories or you hear it helped me, get away from my girl or this or that.
Yeah.
Dude, that's like, And it puts a lot on your soul. You could be the baddest ass guy, power lifter or anything. Everyone has a heart to a certain degree, you know? And we bleed all the same way. And when you hear those stories and you're like, wow, I wrote those lyrics and people really feeling what I'm feeling. Or you write it about something, like say you're playing Super Mario Brothers and you just got this like, I gotta go write. And you're writing about a video game. But then someone gets it in a different way. Or you write lyrics and they take it and they make it, you're a monster.
Oh, sure. Oh, we've heard that many times.
And I'm sure
especially
every metal band.
Content. I'm sure. I think that's the stamp on metal that's probably the biggest myth in the world. That you look at metal guys and go, oh my God, are we going to fight? There's going to be trouble. There's never trouble.
They worship the devil. Yeah,
they worship the devil.
I was that guy. I mean, I'm a Christian, and I was that like put those people in a box and judge them because they have long hair, they have tattoos, and then I become that guy.
Patches on their back, exactly. You know, think about that.
And then when I hear the devil word, like I remember, funny story. My neighbors were playing Running with the Devil, and I knocked on their door and said, "You're going to hell." And,
oh, nice.
And he's now real great friends with me, and his daughter and son were bust my balls all the time because we were these Christian people, and I'm smashing Metallica records with a sledgehammer, right?
You're listening to this, guys. Are you getting this?
And I'm speaking on behalf of a Christian of how dumb we do stuff.
That's the tunnel vision that they have. You know, in my eyes, like if I go to a concert and there's some guy screaming on a blowhorn that I'm going to have, I'm sure you've seen them at your own shows.
I was that guy.
Yeah,
and I'm like, you
need to be yelling at people like that. It's like, number one, don't you think your family would more benefit from you being at home, spending time with them? Number two, how do you think you're going to really get across holding signs, being absolutely outraged? Is that doing God's work? Does that make you feel, if God is your thing, does that make you feel that you're doing? I've always wanted to walk up to them and say, what are your kids doing tonight? Wouldn't they want mom to be home? You know what I mean? Why are you wasting your time? These are not bad people that are walking into this concert because they like a certain type of music. Why do you have to be so naive? And I've never done that because they're so arrogant. And it's like, I don't think because you're a Christian that you have to be righteous on people. You know what I mean? And
I think they try to be more rock star.
I don't know their angle. I'm just thinking, if you really thought of the mentality, you have 15 to 20,000 people that are going into a venue, and you're screaming from a bullhorn with maybe 5 or 4 other people standing out there holding. It's not huge numbers, and they're holding signs going, you said Ozzy Osbourne believes in Satan.
Right.
Ozzy Osbourne is Satan. You know what I mean? Black Sabbath isn't. You're all going to hell. But you can come to our side. And the guy's screaming, and he keeps saying the same thing over. And I feel sorry for them people.
I do too, because I was that guy. And outside looking in, after doing this for so many years and being around so many people, and myself being a Christian and hanging with the Satanist, they're still people.
I agree.
They can do what they want to do. It's not my job to convert him to Christianity.
I agree.
It's through my actions. And if he wants to ask me, hey, you're so happy all the time, and I'm in this dumps, I'll talk to him.
Right.
But I am not that Bible-thumping people, because those Bible-thumping people use those fear tactics to try to bring you into heaven, and that's not how it would work in real life.
When I was a kid, that's why I'm not religious, by the way,
a lot of people that become that way.
And I'm not religious, by the way, and because of the whole, well, if you don't believe in Jesus Christ or God, Stephen, you're going to burn in hell. And when you're a kid, you're going, I don't want to burn in hell.
It's the most terrifying thing.
Right, so you scared me into that, and then when I was able to do my own, deductions and choose my own path.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And see what worked for me. And I think that's what's good about humanity. Anyway, we're getting off on that shit. Let's get back to you and playing rock drumming. So talk about the first time that you got paid to play, if you can remember that. And I don't care if some guy gave you each $10, you know what I mean, to get together. Or it was your first major gig and you walked out of there with $100,000 and you were like, yeah, this is the life for me.
I think it was, I played a bowling alley when I was 19. I didn't start making money until I was 19, 20. I think it was 19, and we played a bowling alley called Strikers Lane. And
this is in Pennsylvania.
No, I'm originally from Cleveland.
Okay.
I've been in PA now 13 years.
Okay, so your formidable years.
Yeah.
You were definitely in. You were.
I was in
Ohio.
Good old rock and roll capital of the.
Yeah. Oh my.
Yeah, oh my.
Boy, do they fuck our type of music, huh? But let's get back to the.
That's another story.
Oh my.
So I think we made like $20 a piece, and I thought that was the coolest thing. $20.
Okay, how long did you play for?
I did an hour and a half. We had other bands play with us.
Originals, or was it?
Of covers, of course.
Covers.
Maybe a couple of
$20
hated
at 19
originals.
to play all covers, dude. You're living the dream. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and I thought we were on our way. I was like, and I think every band I was in, I was telling my parents, "This is the band. This band's gonna take me all the way." They're like, "Yeah, all right, that's 20 bands. You've said that already." So poor parents had to hear that this is the band.
Now joining, actually, because I read something that your first kind of real band was pretty much Breaking Benjamin, right?
Successful, like
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
And where you got notoriety.
Absolutely.
When people now you're playing in front of 60,000.
Absolutely.
You're high up on the bill. People, you're in the bigger dressing rooms, not the littler ones.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I read that you turned in an audition tape on VHS.
I kept it old school.
And okay, this is like what, 2003 or 2005?
There were DVDs.
I was just gonna say, I don't even think I had a VCR even up to then, right?
That's what Ben said to me. He's like, I had to go in my closet and find my VHS or VCR to watch your VHS tape. But I think
that's great that he took the
time and gave it. You know, and you know they say those things happen for reasons, kind of thing. It was that kind of thing because there were DVDs out, but my ex-wife was like, why don't you just play it like a show, back to back? And I was still learning these songs as I was recording them. I didn't know who Breaking Benjamin was, but I heard it's a pretty big band. So I was like, all right, I'm going to learn these songs right quick. So I started learning them, played them, and she's using a camcorder, not the one on the with the microphone. I wish I had that. That would have been
from European Vacation.
That would be
Chevy took it on the road. Come on,
awesome.
Sure wasn't that one?
Check out Wally World. So
exactly.
It was one of those handheld ones, and my bro, once I did the video, converted it, but he didn't have his DVD burner or whatever those things were at the time. So he had a VHS. I hooked it right up to it, put a old tape, and I went, I don't know what people are going to think. Now, every audition that the drummers did for Breaking Benjamin was a DVD. And you could just click on it to the next song, to the next song, to the next song. Mine was like,
didn't have to
rewind,
stop,
back
a little bit.
Yeah, but it also showed there were no hidden technology.
Right.
How many times did he play this song?
Right.
And in my VHS thing, my pedal breaks in the song called So Cold, which was their single doing really well on the radio. And my foot, on my right foot, flips over and starts playing my left pedal. And I got the gig because of that. I didn't stop. And I had a little PA.
Thank you, VHS.
Yeah, thank you, VHS. The PA was clipping that it was so loud and the drums were vibrating the CD player. CD player, remember that. Not streaming iTunes, CD player. And it was skipping. So every time I play, it would skip, but I keep playing. So I was in a live setting that this was my audition. And that's how I got the gig.
Wow. What did that how many other drummers went up against you?
They did a bunch. I think there was like 12, 13, 14.
13,
but like you're talking BC from Head PE, like that caliber and stuff like that.
Wow. And so how long after did you send the tape? Did you get, and how did you find out the information?
Well,
Who told you? Did you get a call?
it's a good.
No, this ain't him. Bullshit. Fuck you. Quit fucking with me.
Yeah, that's a good question because what happened was we network as musicians once we get to a certain level, right?
Damn right we do.
So I was in this band called Switch back in the day, and we toured for a while, and the band did decent. We were on a Mortal Virgin with Korn and Incubus, so I was like, wow, that's a pretty big label if you're on that. And
They're
so,
doing volumes of units, so that's,
at that time, yeah.
Sure.
And so once the band kind of broke up, I made connections with all the endorsees that I was with at that time, which was like, Yamaha and Vader drumsticks. And I was working in the factory at that time, and I just would call up the guy named Chad Brandolini, who was the A&R for Vader drumsticks. And I said, hey, if you know any band that's losing a drummer, please mention my name. I need to get out there. He's like, dude, you're a killer drummer.
That's usually how it works, too.
Yeah.
I've heard that a lot.
And believe it or not, a couple months go by, nothing. I'll call one more month, third month. He's like, actually, Breaking Benjamin just lost their drummer. They're having auditions. I'll give you the drum tech's number and you can give him a call. And I just called him right away. Hey, I don't know you, you don't know me, but I heard there's an audition. And he's telling me, like, what I need to do to get the gig. Because I sounded cool to him, I guess. And we just hit it off on the phone. He's like, you sound like you can play. I know you from Switch. You'd be perfect for this band. So long story short, I did the VHS tape. But I had my ex-wife play on it just to be dumb. And be like, now my audition. And so they call me like a week later and go, here's the deal. And I'm driving from my horrible job at the factory going home, and I get a phone call. And I remember this like yesterday. And I'm at the red light, and he goes, we tried all these different drummers, and we finally picked the drummer. And I just want to say it's not you, but you were really, really, really good. But we want to go with your wife. And I went, this better be ball busting right now because I will drive into incoming traffic.
Hazing is normally right out of the gate.
Absolutely.
Hazing is
and
normal.
They were like, no, we're just joking with you. You got the gig. And I was like, what? And I'm going through red lights like Grand Theft Auto style. I'm like, I felt invincible at that time. Like, maybe this is where I'm going to be. And it's just going to get bigger and bigger from there. And, later down. It just blew up.
It did blow up very much so.
Very blessed that it did the way it did.
So you did 8 years with that band, right?
Yeah. Almost 10.
Almost 10.
Yeah. With hiatus kind of taking its course, and Ben and I still talking through that hiatus, so I consider it almost 10 years, yeah.
Are you still cool?
No. But, I think we come at our age where bygones be bygones. And
so if you were put in a backstage bout, we would be civil.
I would. Now, yes.
Now.
Yeah, I would. Because, I still care for the guy. I can't blame him for the incidents or myself. It was just stupid immaturity and opening my mouth, saying the wrong words. But I had to stick up for myself. But it's the business that kind of jades you, and
of course it does.
It makes you a monster, and then you think your monster on your football team's stealing the football and making the other team win, and you're like, what? Why would you do that? And it's like you just think everyone's your enemy at that time, and you can probably can't preach to the choir, but man,
and believe me, in every way, shape,
you don't know who's your friend.
In every way, shape, and form. You want people that you think, especially when we were kids in the 80s, and, Exodus was, a very big band as the first and second and third records came out.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a growing period, and we didn't know how it paid. And boy, did they take advantage of that. And I was like, like 1.4 years down the road, I was like, how much money do we got? You know what I mean? It's like, what do you mean we don't got any money? Our shows are sold out. Everybody wears our T-shirts and stuff. Our records sell. How do we not have any money? You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, well, you used the under flapper on the other, and then you guys did that, and it's like, whoa, really? It's like, really?
I just watched a thing a while back on YouTube where it's that you sign up for, I don't know, a month, and you can watch the YouTube kind of specials and stuff. And I think it was Lou Pearlman on NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, the story, the dirt story, and Lance did like the narrating and everything and put this kind of all together, I believe. And
so it's kind of like the dirt of those guys.
Dude, you think we had it bad? Like,
well, I've heard about that because
it is so heart-wrenching.
Those guys own the shit, you know what I mean? And
well, he put these bands together, right? And as he was putting these bands together, he's funding out of his own pocket.
Sure he is.
He's taking you and I to Ruth Chris.
Right.
And you're like, wow, this guy's loaded, man. Like, this is the way it's supposed to be. And then they blow up, both bands, but they're not getting paid. And they're selling out arenas.
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 Stadiums.
Yeah. Arenas and stadiums. And they're not getting any money. So Lou says, let's go and we're going to all meet at Ruth Chris. I'm going to give you your checks of
what I owe you.
Basically owe you. And so they all sit down. And Lance is talking about this. And he's like, so, yeah, I remember our parents are at the table. We're all having dinner. And we cannot wait to open these envelopes. And they open it. And they go, whoa. Like, they were just beyond, like, this is a joke. He's busting balls. I think they made like $6,000 a piece or some stupid number. Like, you'll have to watch it. And
really?
He's like, listen, or 50,000 or something like that. But they were selling 20 to 30 million records, number one on every,
every radio station that pays for that.
$50,000 should not be in that check. Add some more zeros. So, watching this, and he's talking, and then he finds out that all this money that they didn't get is going to his bank account because he funded and took them all to dinners and charged them for all those dinners.
I bet he did.
And you're
like
just
we go back to like we were talking about earlier. You pay for it. The record label, come on in.
If it's too good to be true, it is.
It is. So after the 8 years went down, you actually got a really good gig. Right after that, we respect this man. He played in Black Label Society. Talk about how you got that audition and going into that.
Again, just networking. Basically, I'm good friends with a guy named Will Hunt, drummer. He played for Scrape. I don't know if you remember that band. Yeah. He's in Evanescence now. He was in a band called Dark New Day. And he's like me. He goes and does people's roofs. And he goes to the next job when he needs to go to the next job. So he was playing with Black Label, and I get a phone call at 3, 4 in the morning. And he's like, yo, bro, it's Will. I'm like, yo, what's going on? And he's like, what are you doing right now? And usually when Will calls me and says, what are you doing right now? I know it's a gig, and I don't know if I want the gig because I only got 2, hours before I have to fly out to do the gig. Of course. So, but he trusts me, and he values our relationship where I would never screw him or I'll be honest with him. So he calls me up and he's like, "Yo, what are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm about to go to bed. What about you?" He's like, "Well, I'm overseas right now. I'm playing with Black Label, and I, you know how I'm with Evanescence." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, I got to go back." Because I was under a contract. And I told the band, I'm not going to be here permanently. I have to go back when she says off of her hiatus, I'm going to go back and write. So that's what he did. He says, I need you to fill in for me. And I go, with who? And he's like, Black Label. And I go, you mean Zakk Wylde? Like, I'm terrified of these guys. They're like biker guys and stuff. And I'm not that looking kind of biker kind of guy. I got blonde hair, maybe some tattoos. I look like a guy in Backstreet Boys. And he started laughing, and he goes, you'll be fine, trust me. It's real easy stuff. I play it all the time. They'll love you. You'll get along with the bass player. Great. Cool.
Hey, great dude. They're great.
Awesome.
I know
awesome
that.
People.
Yes,
right?
We've run across them many times.
Such a friendly family.
Yes.
So, anyways,
Zac is
a legend.
He's a
goofball.
He's a pisser. He's a pisser. I love that.
I love
kid.
that man. Taught me a lot. But so, I get a phone call 5 hours later, and I'm working on these songs. Like, all right, I know Stillborn. That's a simple song. What's the next song? Oh, because I've been doing this for years, right?
Sure.
So I just hear the drum beat, but I also listen to the lyrics, the melody, guitars and bass, because if I can't hear something on stage, I can sing the melody and get through the show, because that's why I get paid. So I get a call and he goes, yo, Johnny Kelly's just going to finish it. He plays for, Typo Negative. He's just going to finish the run. I'll call you if anything else happens. I'm like, oh, here's my... Now, I'm not playing with anyone at this time. I'm still with Breaking Benjamin, but we're on hiatus. So I'm not making income like everyone thought I was making. So I'm like, I need a gig. That was my opportunity. So I get a phone call from our label, and this guy that used to work for our label works for this band called Hourcast. Well, we took him out with Breaking Benjamin, and they're like, what are you doing right now? And I go, I'm just sitting home. They're like, well, cool. This drummer guy has some issues that he has to take with court. He's going to pay you, and he's really wealthy. He's going to pay you to fill in for his band, and he's going to take good care of you, and you're going to go on tour with Black Label. And I went, wait a minute. I'm going to open up for the band I was supposed to play for? So we do this tour. I bond so much with JD and Nick Cannese. Yeah. I mean, we were like brothers.
JD's great.
He's just a funny dude. So
sure,
we connected. I'm like, I want this gig now.
Right.
These are my bros. And now JD's like, we already got a drummer, Mike Froch, playing right now. He's a great drummer, but he's just not, I'm not vibing on him. So I want you to be the drummer. So it kind of crossed paths again, and then finally they got rid of Mike Froch, and they wanted me to be the drummer, and that's how I got the gig. In a nutshell.
How long after the tour that you guys did were you like sitting before it kind of came back into your lap?
With Black Label?
Yeah, when you opened for them on that with that other band. How much time had passed?
6-7 months.
So 7 months.
Yeah. It wasn't like the next day or
it wasn't.
A month later. It was a while. But it was just full circle. I was like, and then I didn't get the gig. So the third time, and then boom, I got the gig. And I had that gig for 3 years. And Zakk just, man, something about that dude that is like such a learning experience with him. It's like, I know a lot, but I can also learn. And he taught me a lot of stuff.
You always have to be open to learn.
You do. And if you do,
at my level now, I'm learning.
You still learn.
I learn shit all the time or go on the road and I'll be like, no way.
Yeah, I think you even learn with singing. You're like, wow, I can actually not have to sing so hard every time.
That was, yeah.
That's a...
Welcome to not blowing your voice out anymore, right?
101, right?
Right, number one thing.
And so when people say, do you still practice? Like, I practiced 9 hours a day for like 13, 14, 15 years of my life. Now I play like a half hour to an hour a day because I know what I need to practice. I know how to play drums. I just tweak some stuff, and if I want to work on something to better my craft, I'll work on it for 20 minutes, not burn myself out.
Sure.
And I think the more mature we get, the faster shortcuts we take to get the job done quicker.
That's Exodus 101. We study what we have to, and if you should know it by now anyway. You
should know it by now.
So it's like if you don't, take a brush up, and the first sound check is going to be, we're going to go over the two that are spotty, and first night,
yeah, exactly.
Welcome to the show.
And all these gigs, like Breaking Benjamin, I think I had 3 days to do a whole tour. Then I had Black Label. I had 2 days, and we did a whole 3-month run. And then who else? Black Star Riders. I had 2 days, and I never met the guy. I mean, I met him because I played with him in Black Label,
right?
Opening up
on another show
with Judas Priest. And then the full circle of that is recently, or last year, it was Black Star Riders, Saxon, Judas Priest.
I was there.
Now I'm in the band.
I was there.
So,
wow, it's great.
I
love it.
I like to have those stories to give back to the community and to the starving artists to say, if I can do it, you can do it. If you want to win the Powerball, you just got to go and get the ticket.
Yeah, exactly. Talk about the writing with Zakk on that record, because you played on an album with you.
Catacombs.
You did Catacombs, and talk about actually getting in the studio and writing with him. What was that experience like for yourself? And I mean, what did you like? You were just saying you learned so much from him. Talk about some of those things that you learned. I mean,
I don't really get starstruck by any means. I think we're all the same
Good.
people.
I don't either.
I'm not like, I can't get a picture.
Right. I played with everybody, so it's the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen everybody.
So
And playing with Zakk, he's just a normal dude, and him and I just bust on each other all the time. And these people that are like worshiping Zakk, and he'll do these bits where he does a guitar solo and they'll tape it and he'll watch it every single night to make sure it's perfect and what he needs to do better. That's how like he's still a pro. And he'll go, Chad, you want to watch my guitar solo? I'm like, no, street lights are on. It's past my bedtime. I need to go feed the hog,
right,
you know,
exactly.
like the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
exactly.
There's people that would give their arm to just hang out with him just to say, you want to see my guitar solo?
Right,
and I'm like,
sure.
I don't care about your guitar solo.
We take for granted sometimes
Yeah.
the presence of the people we get to hang out
Sometimes
with.
I have to put myself in check when I'm sending him a message and going, happy birthday, I bought you Skype lessons for your present. I mean, like, I'm saying that to an icon.
To a guy who's
right.
who's
so that's the cool thing
monumental
about
in the
Zakk.
business.
Zakk is not an arrogant dude where he has to tell you he's good at guitar. He doesn't need to tell you. But he's one of those guys that is such a pleasure to be around. So when we did the studio stuff, we didn't have a song. He might have had a couple riffs. He just starts hitting record and goes, all right, here's the riff. This is the chorus. This, all right, and we're jam it once, record. And you're like, and you're playing with an icon, so you can't be short end of the stick on that one. You got to pull your weight
Sure.
and really be like, that's why I hired this guy. And I've never been so complimented by a person that doesn't have to compliment than more than Zakk. Every day, you're killing it, bro. You're killing it. You're killing it. You sound amazing. And when you hear that from that kind of guy, you'll do anything. You will go through through the fire for that guy. And that's why we're still friends to this day.
Great.
I support him as he supports
So if something
my
ever
bands.
happened that he needed a fill-in drummer, you could go back and do it, right?
Oh, and yeah, I mean, I do miss it. Just not the whole like biker of me and the long hair and all that, but just the camaraderie and just your bros.
I get that.
You know.
I get that. Now, let's come to the current band, Black Star Riders. Those of you all know who they are. It's Scott Garham of Thin Lizzy, and for me,